Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. I have just finished the WWE Unreal Season 1, 5 episodes. When it comes to, like, wrestling documentaries, I mean, there's, like, the Bret Hart Wrestling with Shadows. There's Beyond the Mat that followed around Mick Foley, followed around Jake the Snake Roberts. They gave us like a look into professional wrestling. Since then, WWE has come out with like docs of wrestlers following themselves in their career, talking about past moments that you can remember. I can't think of anything that rivals this. And I feel really bad that 2 weeks ago, when WWE put out a clip of the iShow Speed deal with no... If they would have even shown like the 30 seconds before, when Triple H was explaining to Stephanie, like, this is your role. That he kind of just threw her into, you stand there, he's going to come in here, he's going to be on his live stream talking to you, but at the same time, Tozawa's going to come in, I'm going to pull Speed, tell him he's in the Rumble, and then he's going to go out and do his spot. But instead, the way they cut it, they really made it seem like they wanted us to believe that that was all real and happened in the moment. And it was like Triple H not knowing who to put in the Rumble, and Speed ran out there. Some of the worst moments of the entire show, why WWE chose to use that, no idea. When everything else in this documentary really knocked it out of the park. I can't really point at things and say, I wish they gave us more of this. I wish they gave us more of that. I wish they would have explained that. If only they would have had a camera in that room. The only thing you can really complain about is there was no sit-down interview with Roman Reigns. There was no sit-down interview with The Rock. And as crazy as bringing up those two as not being featured on the show, Io Sky was greatly missed in the last episode when they just drop on you out of the middle of nowhere. I know we've been following Bianca. I know we've been following Rhea. But Rhea lost her championship. It was almost like this title change happened on a house show or something that wasn't televised. But as scripted as wrestling is, as they need to get people over, get you exposed to people so you can use them down the road, nothing. If you're not a wrestling fan who just chooses to watch this because it's probably going to be on the main screen of everybody's feed for the next few months, I know people who watched the McMahon documentary and talked to me about it that have never watched wrestling in their life, had no care about wrestling. It's going to happen that non-wrestling fans turn this on and maybe they get hooked. Maybe they don't become wrestling fans, but they get something to watch for 5 hours. This was really, really good. I could see them if they it'd be hard to kind of keep up with, but I mean, like, I could see them doing 2 of these a year. Covering WrestleMania, covering SummerSlam. If they needed more time in there, maybe covering Survivor Series. SummerSlam to Survivor Series, something like that. But this was awesome. This was really, really cool. I honestly kind of felt like Cody Rhodes was almost a supporting character. I know there was film of him at home with Brandy, with Liberty. At the very beginning of them decorating the Christmas tree. I'm guessing that would have been like in November. And then Cody saying that his daughter thought that he was dancing at these wrestling shows, probably because they've heard the terminology of dancing in the ring, finding your dance partner, maybe something like that. Doesn't really understand that there's fighting involved. I'm guessing that Liberty saw her first WrestleMania, her first wrestling match with Cody Rhodes, when she was there at the end of WrestleMania 41. I know that they were sitting in the crowd. It was part of the entrance I don't think that they took her to the back and, didn't let her watch it. It's something that's going to be in her blood as a part of, like, what Cody Rhodes said at one point during the show is that, like, I am lucky that I found my wife in the wrestling business. The push that he's going on, what the WWE asks him to do, what he does on his own to go above and beyond, with the interviews, with the meet and greets, with the wrestling matches themselves, the morning shows, the night shows, everything that he does, he's like, she wouldn't be here. She would have left. No matter what, no matter how good the money is, just being home alone and, your husband being out there on the road has gotta suck. It's gotta suck big time. She's got to sign on to be part of that life. And I thought that was really, really cool. The stuff that we got to see with John Cena. John Cena is such a big star. Doesn't matter if it's TV. Doesn't matter if it's movies, HBO, wrestling, Honda commercials. Whatever that guy does. Hosting daytime talk shows. Whatever. He didn't need to do this. I think he did this to make his last year in WWE bigger. I think he did it to try and make WWE bigger. I think he tried to give back to the wrestling business, the wrestling fans. I mean, no part of John Cena needed to do this for anybody. And he sat down, he did, one-on-one interviews, he did stuff following him around day of, after shows, during shows. The one person that really surprised me more than anybody else, because he always comes off as a really private person, but by the end of this documentary, when they meet in the back, and, Triple H is congratulating CM Punk for main eventing his first WrestleMania, having one hell of a match, ending night one on a banger. I just think, like, they talked about it in episode 1, 10 years ago, There's no way in the world this happens. Triple H, as a wrestler who was a part of The Office, but his career hadn't ended yet. He's trying to do the best for the company, but he's also protecting his spot. These guys couldn't even be in the same room together. And I don't know. I really feel like CM Punk is a changed man. I know that sounds stupid. In episode 1, when I was reviewing it, I felt like that guy that got fired from AEW still has to be inside of him. And maybe one day he doesn't get this or he doesn't get that. As stupid as it sounds, maybe they don't put only green M&Ms in the locker room for him. I mean, I really felt like anything could put him over the edge. I think by seeing him cry before he goes out to WrestleMania to wrestle in his first main event, like, that was big. And I talked about it with Hulk Hogan, talking about when I went to my first, match, seeing him wrestle Earthquake and him come out and him point to the crowd. I felt like he was pointing at me. When CM Punk was breaking down, as stupid as it sounds, I felt like he was breaking down for me, because I was in those stands watching him at WrestleMania 41. And I think he was feeling the anticipation and maybe the doubt, maybe the fear of screwing up, maybe not living up to the moment, something like that. Like, and I was out there just like, this is awesome. I had my doubts going to WrestleMania. I was listening to the boo birds and the complainers that you were saying that, WrestleMania 41 was going to be a WrestleMania 27, yet once again, maybe it was a bridge to the next one for WrestleMania 42, because people were saying The Rock wasn't going to be there, but maybe The Rock will come next year, and this is only going to build to that, to make that Mania be bigger and better than anything else. And, you had those doubts, like, oh shoot, did I pick the wrong one? Am I going to have to spend this money all over again to, go out on my last WrestleMania being a great one? But, we saw Punk at home. We saw Punk with Larry. That was great. Episode 3 might have been a little bit of a downer. I really didn't like how they went back in time to sort of like, they were building a storyline with the men, and then episode 3 comes where they pretty much put 90% of the women's things. There was Rhea Ripley in episode 1. We don't see anybody again, and then we just bring in Chelsea Green. We bring in Bianca Belair. We put her into episode 3, and then we don't see them again until episode 5 when we're going through the WrestleMania matches. And it sucked. I was really fearing it when I was watching episode 3. Chelsea Green has that moment where she invites all of her friends and family to the show. I believe it was for Elimination Chamber, and she's not booked on the card, and she has to break that to her friends and family that she's not going to be used, she's not going to be wrestling. And then WrestleMania 41 comes, sees the WWE United States champion still, that she wins in episode 3, and she's not used on the shows. I don't remember if she was on SmackDown. I apologize. I don't think she was on Monday Night Raw. The only chance that I got to see her was that I went to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast with her husband, Matt Cardona, who she was the final guest of the night, coming out there. And I thought that was a really, really cool moment. But, we don't get to see her realize, like, oh, I'm not going to be on WrestleMania, and get that kind of like heartbreak yet. Once again, they set us up for it. I don't know if it's sitting there on the cutting room floor and it was filmed, but as much as I wasn't looking forward to it, I thought that it was coming, and we never got to see it. It was almost like every woman's storyline from this was stuck in episode 3 and then never brought up again, other than just showing us the Io Sky Bianca versus Rhea match. So I'm not saying we need to go Total Bellas and give them their own reality show following them on the road, which wouldn't be bad. I like Total Divas. I watched like the first 2 seasons weekly, but just find a way to figure them into the actual documentary as it's going along. The Rock definitely was the biggest heel in this entire show, not being a wrestling character, but as a person who showed up at WWE, he truly looks like a true outsider. Yes, he works for the company. Yes, he is on the board. Yes, someone asked him to come in and try and boost sales for Toronto, is the storyline that they're running with. But him coming and just throwing his own idea on the table, like he's a part of the booking committee of, having Kevin Owens beat Cody Rhodes for the championship, which would have completely taken Cody Rhodes out of the WrestleMania 41 picture for Owens to fight against John Cena. It just doesn't make any sense. That's just the God honest way to put it. It just does not make any sense. It was cool to see a little bit of Jey Uso, especially when I think it was in episode 2. He's getting told he's getting this major push, but yet the arena security doesn't even know who he is to let him into the parking lot to park his car so he can go to work that day, and then get built up to actually beating Gunther at WrestleMania. I felt like that was a little bit kind of rushed in the storyline. It was almost like Jey Uso didn't fit this whole deal. It was cool to see the little bit that we did get, but I honestly wish that we would have got a bit more. Xavier Woods, his 5 minutes that he got talking about the New Day, surprised that got left in there. But I think more than anything else, Triple H was the MVP of this documentary. Breaking down the walls, pulling back the curtain, and letting this crew, I'm guessing it's Peyton Manning's team, that does quarterback, that did receiver. I think they did starting 5. But just to listen to the idea or have the idea of letting this go on. As a wrestling fan, there's been times I've been more of a fan of the wrestling business than the wrestling shows that I've been watching. Following along to like watching old shoot interviews, to listening to the podcast interviews, to listening to podcast guys talk about the wrestling business itself and kind of try to break down, what goes on, to booking the territory. The Bruce Pritchard show, which I think is done other than the name. I think JBL is just taking it over. I wasn't listening to it continuously. I just kind of caught that he took a step back and JBL was filling in. I thought that Bruce was going to come back, but maybe Bruce's job is so big in WWE that he just doesn't have time to do the show anymore. And that's missed. I mean, 2016, my life got turned upside down. I started going to the gym a lot. And the podcast had been going on. People thought it was great. But those early Something to Wrestle With were like 3. In my mind, some of them might even have been 4-hour shows. And I just didn't know how I was going to listen to them. And once I, started going to the gym and listening to them, they were freaking awesome. And I think that honestly, one day, Bruce Pritchard will get his flowers that he hasn't already got, about how much he has done for the wrestling business, how much he has done for WWF, how great that is, and how many, ideas were really his and how much were other people's. I just thought this was a really, really cool thing. And as a wrestling fan, I desperately want more of this. I thought this was really, really cool. So WWE Unreal Season 1, I think might be one of the best wrestling docs that we've ever seen in the history of wrestling. All together.